Beautiful finishes, and not just that. There is upholstery upstairs, which means interiors gets done in-house as well. We're talking the latest 3D scanning, 3D printing. That's not all. I'm now here in body and paint. We've got a massive paint booth and 2 separate body and prep booths as well. Massive facility. Let's continue on.
So we do all our own paints and body work here as well, of course, keeping with the theme. We have 1 main paint booth as well as 2 separate prep booths that get body work done and some very minor spot priming as needed in them. And you'll see that when we go inside. We do factory paint jobs, we do custom paint jobs, we do show car paint jobs, we do driver level paint jobs. Again, we really try and decide, you know, what to do to the car based on what the customer would like done. So on the left is our paint booth. It is pretty yellow right now because we just painted some yellow cars. You'll see we go through and we'll take off the old coverings on the walls and on the floor and clean them up, and then we'll put new ones on as well to keep everything, you know, the least amount of dust contaminants or possible any other paint that could get into to modify anything.
Each car gets its own brand new
paint booth.
Paint booth, basically.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. When they get a full paint job, they get their own brand new paint booth.
Okay, now you've got these 2 rooms sectioned off.
Yes, everything's separate, and so that there's no cross-contamination, if you will, if that makes any sense.
I thought that was only possible with food.
No, it's possible with projects, which is why we have so many parts carts as well.
And what have you guys been working on here?
So actually, I believe in both of these prep booths are chargers. This is a 68. I believe if it has has the round marker light. So this is a 68 charger. This one is
round marker light?
Yes. So that's
right here.
Yep. So 68 is the easy way to tell the 68s from the 69s and 70s if they don't have a grill or anything like that. So this one's going to get painted very bright Viper red as well.
Nice.
And it's going to get aftermarket undercoating on it too. And this one, the customer I really like him. He's very funny and he's very old school. He doesn't know how to email. So he never responds to email, so I have to call him on everything. I don't know if he has a cell phone, frankly, to be honest.
Oh, wow. And he wants to have this charger. I love it.
And his request is he hates computers. So his car, there's no computerized components on it. He wanted overdrive, and I said, well, can we get a 4L80? No, because it has a computer, and that's how it shifts. Okay, can we put fuel injection on? No, because I don't want any electric fuel pumps on my car. Okay, absolutely. So it has Ray Barton 540 cubic inch Hemi that makes a little over 700 horsepower, and it has 2 carburetors and a mechanical fuel pump, and it has an in air quotes 700 R4 4-speed overdrive from TCI that is based on a 700 R4, but it's all completely aftermarket. And he's got like a drive shaft hoop, and it has coilovers in the front. Actually, we took out the torsion bars and put in coilovers, and it has a Ford 9-inch rear end with coilovers as well and a 4-link. And he has like what would be, it looks kind of like a cement roller when you put the rear tires on, because they're 20-inch wheels by 15 inches wide. So he's got 30 inches of tires to try and keep 700 horsepower going in a straight line.
What's his name?
Kyle.
Kyle, you're one heck of a cool dude.
I totally agree. Yeah.
You know what I love the most about what you've been telling me just now, Dante, is that whatever the customer wanted, he said, yep, we can do it.
Yes.
You didn't try to persuade him on something that would be better and no, this would drive better. No, that's what he wants. Mm-hmm. He knows what he wants.
Right. Exactly.
And your job is just to make that happen.
Exactly. Yeah. All I'll say is I can recommend, but it's not my car. I mean, I'd rather them be happy than me be happy with them taking my recommendation. So if this is what he would like, we are more than happy to build it. And I will be happier in the long run knowing that he loves his car versus
exactly.
taking my recommendation.
Because obviously customers would ask you, what would you recommend? Mm-hmm. That's when you would offer. But if someone comes in and they know what they want and they've got very good reason for it, you got to give them what they want.
Exactly. Exactly right. Yeah.
These are such personal projects, such a personal hobby. Everybody's car, their favorite car, their project means something different to the person next to them.
Right. Exactly.
They're so special. And that's why I love going and talking to the people to find out exactly the connection on why that car is so important.
Right, right.
And then you've got another charger in here as well.
Yes, this one's a 70 charger actually. It is a Charger 500, and this one again. So that you see the square marker lights or rectangular marker lights are the easy way to tell. And this one is going to get painted B5 blue with a black final top as well, and it's a 1970 Charger 500. And
Wow.
it is this couple lives quite far south of us actually, so I don't use my air conditioner a ton outside of a couple months in the summer, but they live in the south where it gets very hot, so we're adding air conditioning and a much better cooling system than the car ever would have had in 1970.
So they've traveled from the south all the way here to get their
Yes,
project done.
absolutely, yes.
And you mentioned earlier on when we first started that you do have a lot of interstate clients who are coming from the East Coast or the West Coast, South,
yes.
North. How about internationally?
We actually do have a couple international as well. We have a car that's getting shipped overseas here in about a week. And then we have a customer actually that lives in Germany that we're helping build a car. And he has a very, very cool Trans Am project that is very heavily Resto-modded. There's hardly any Trans Am left on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very little Pontiac, a lot of muscle car hand fabrication. So again, you see, we will assemble the car in body again to check everything as filler or primers, whatever gets added to get the product that you're looking for. And we have each, again, more organization. There's carts, stations as well, and they're labeled with the sandpaper that you need. And as a tech will go through sandpaper, he'll go grab more sandpaper and refill it, as well as tape and gloves as needed. And up here, this one doesn't have it right this second, but we have like mixing stations as well for filler or anything else that you need to add hardener into the filler, everything like that.
I love it. I mean, you're just avoiding mistakes. You're avoiding, which can very easily happen.
Right.
And it wouldn't
right.
be anybody's fault, but by doing and just small little measures like this, so you know what grit paper is used
Right.
on
right.
this particular project.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you can go up through the grits as you get closer to the paint.
All right, you've got a very big wagon here.
Yes, so this one is 1966 Cadillac hearse. And what's funny...
That's what it is, okay.
What's funny about this car is actually, so it's, again, another husband and wife project, and it's the wife's car. She bought the car in college as a practical joke, trying to be funny. And then she actually daily drove it for a while. This was the only car that she had.
She drove the hearse?
Yeah, she drove the hearse every day for a couple years for a while. And then it got parked and it sat for many years. And to come full circle, actually, she is now married to a gentleman that owns a funeral home. So she and her own a funeral home together. And this will go back in. This is going to go back into service. So you can take your last ride in a 1966 Cadillac hearse. It sounds made up, but it is serious.
She drove this, and then she ends up being married to a funeral home owner. I mean,
yeah, it's
the stars. The stars are meant to be.
Yeah, exactly. And this one actually, aside from being a hearse, which is already unique, it is a little different, unique model in that you could actually, the way this one was designed and built originally in Chicago at the coach workplace in the 60s, you can actually load the casket from the side doors or the back. It actually has large suicide doors, and there's multiple motors that aren't in the car. Yep, so you're able to load from the side or the back to get, if you're in a crowded, busy street in Chicago, anything like that, you're able to still maneuver as best as you can.
I love this, and this is actually going to go get used at
in
the
service.
funeral home.
Yep,
in service.
that is the intention. Yes, when it's finished, so they'll offer it as maybe a premium service, and you can pay a little extra or something, however they'd like it done, and you get your last ride in a Cadillac hearse. It will be silver.
It's not a bad way to go.
I mean, I completely agree. It's the original engine, and it's again mostly back to factory, just with a little better cooling system, and then it's going to go back into service to be used again.
All right.
All right. And this is a 67 Firebird convertible. This project came to us, again, another husband and wife project. And again, this one is the wife's car as well. and it is going back to mostly factory. Their request was, we just want a nice Firebird convertible to drive. They don't want a bunch of horsepower. They don't need anything crazy. So the only modifications are we added a 5-speed manual transmission, a Tremec TKX, and then we're adding air conditioning. And it is a Pontiac 326, and we're putting a 4-barrel with fuel injection instead of the original 2-barrel. But other than that, it's going to be red, white interior. They want to teach the kids how to drive stick in it, so it's now going to be a stick shift. So it's, again, just back to a nice driver was their main request.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. We have, there is one cool thing I will show you. I'll grab it from the
One cool
office.
thing?
Yeah.
The man says there is one cool thing.
That's right. That's the only one. So we kind of glazed a little past it and walked by it, but here is on the yellow CUDA in the paint booth. I don't know how well it'll show up on camera.
Oh, I can see it. Wow.
It's getting a Hellcat Red Eye engine. So, and the customer wanted a ghosted Hellcat head down the side. So we actually did a custom spray out, and we bent the piece of sheet metal to mimic the body line going down the quarter. So instead of a billboard like how the car would have had that says Hemi or anything, it's getting a billboard of a Hellcat head going down the side that's ghosted. So you won't see it in darkness, but if you flash your headlights by it passing it at night or it's in the sunlight, you'll be able to see it. So it's Curious Yellow is the color, and then it's a yellow flame pearl is the name of the product that we're using to get this effect. And what's cool, even with the renderings and our capabilities of design, is actually Jeremy, our IT guy. He actually custom made the stencil for that we printed ourselves to make to allow us. You can set the stencil and just paint over it instead of trying to find or run a bunch of tape lines. He custom cut the stencil out on our vinyl cutter upstairs.
That's what I was going to ask, if you could do any kind of a design.
Yes, we can. Yeah, so he found the original image, modified it, and then we went to the car and got measurements off it so he could get exact measurements of what he needed to get it cut out by our vinyl cutter.
I mean, the opportunities are absolutely endless.
Right, exactly.
For how you want your dream car, what design you want.
Exactly.
Have you ever come across saying you can't do something for a request? Have you ever had such a request?
We have had some requests that we have had to say no to. Most of the time, if someone requests something, usually my wording is like, I would recommend against this because we've tried it on this project in the past and we didn't have great success with it. Or, sometimes we're building. A lot of times, what will happen too with guys that want drag cars, basically, they have tires that are 4 inches wide in the front and huge in the back. Well, they don't stop very well. They don't steer very well. And they'll, and I'll recommend, I wouldn't go with that. And then if they'll get their car, and sometimes they'll come back and say, like, yeah, okay, I should just get wider tires so I can steer my car and stop it better. But
it might be wise.
Yeah, it might be wise. So no, we don't. We try not to just say no, that's a bad idea. We try and help guide people as well with that. I think the only request since I've been here that I've said no to was the 66 Pontiac GTO frame that we saw. The gentleman said, I want a really fast car, and I have I have a Tesla. I'm like, well, if you'd like a car as fast as your Tesla, I'm sorry, but we're probably not gonna be able to build you that. I would get a Tesla.
Yeah.
Because it will not be drivable at all on the street if we have to
it's just not the same feeling.
Right, exactly. So we're like, let's stick with old school. He's like, yeah, let's stick with old school. I like that idea. It's like, okay,
absolutely.
Perfect.
Old school all the way.
Exactly.
Okay. Now this is where it gets really exciting, isn't it?
I agree. I think so. This is where the painted cars come. This is the cleanest part.
We start seeing more finishes. We're in assembly, one of the assembly rooms.
Yes, one of the 2 assembly buildings, and here houses most of our service projects as well as our upholstery department, which we'll walk through in just a moment. So we have a pair of Mustang Shelby convertibles here getting service. Both very different ends of the spectrum. One is just a minor tune-up and one is fuel injection and rewiring the whole car, again, to the different lengths of what each project needs. So
you said service.
Yeah.
So did you build these?
We did not build these, no.
Okay.
So we have not painted them. These were both bought sight unseen through auctions or online. and the customer, decided that the car wasn't perfect, and so they brought it to us. That Shelby, the transmission leaked and it puked fluid everywhere every time you drove it out of the torque converter, and it ran poorly, and so the wiring was a mess. So we're going through and fixing wiring, and we rebuilt the transmission. We had the transmission rebuilt, and we're putting fuel injection on, minor stuff like that. We call it minor in comparison to full restoration.
Of course, but I mean, for the local people of Chippewa Falls, there is service that happens here for the collector cars, which I did not know about.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Beautiful Corvette. We've got here, is it a 61?
It's a 56.
56.
So the customer was born in 1956, so he's always wanted a 1956 Corvette. He's owned, I believe, 9, 10, or 11 Corvettes over of all the body styles, everything like that, and he wants this one to, near in on his final one. So it's got an aftermarket chassis from Schwartz Performance, actually, in Chicago, and it has an LS engine and a overdrive automatic, a 4-speed, the 4L75 as well. And he initially wanted independent rear suspension to mimic the modern Corvette as much as he could. And after talking with the chassis manufacturers, actually, they, Schwartz, when we talked with them, they said, like, you really have to push the car very hard to notice a difference between a straight axle and the much more costly independent rear suspension. So we actually ended up going with a straight axle rear as well.
Wow.
So, and through here, we have more assembly projects. The GTX is a full restoration that started with us and is ending with us. And then these 3 cars to my right as well are just assembly jobs. We didn't paint any of these 3 cars. We're just helping get the car to the finish line. They're at whatever section of restoration that they needed. For us, again, a question I get a lot is, how did COVID go? And a lot of time, we had customers that decided that they needed to save their money on their restoration projects and use it to save it for a rainy day. And so we had some that left. But then on the other end as well, customers that had cars that were at maybe a 1 or a 2-man shop, and they're, and the owners are in their 70s or 80s, and they still do the work, and they're just looking to retire, and COVID hit, and they said, yeah, maybe this is my, a sign from the stars to figure something else out. So what they ended up doing is actually I would say we got an influx of projects that came in as well as ones that left. So we stayed right around the same as well.
It was a busy time in the classic car hobby world.
Yes, it was.
During COVID. I mean, I've seen so many COVID projects where people had the opportunity to work on them.
Right, exactly. And then back here is more just some workbenches, and again, you'll see more project parts carts. And here, I touched on a little bit in metal, but this is one of the custom carts that we built, and this is how we assemble B&E body Mopars. So you see all the front suspension is completely assembled, control arms, rack, uppers and lowers, everything like that.
Just the way you would be sitting on the frame.
Exactly, so that all we do is lower the car onto this, and we bolt it up with the upper control arms and then the bolts that go into the frame rails, and you have a front assembled 69 Charger in this case.
Because it's a lot more easier to work on it when it's like this, Dante.
Yes, it certainly is. It is way easier. So this, again, is how we do all our B&E bodies with the transmissions behind them as well. And we do so many B&E bodies that we have multiples of these carts themselves that we've built ourselves over the years as we've needed them.
Okay, more parts.
Right. So again, the theme continues of more parts and carts. So again, each cart in here is a different project for the customer, and you can see, if trim is re-chromed or anything like that, then it gets set on foam and otherwise to keep everything protected. And a lot of times we have customers that bring their own parts in, which we accept. That being said, it's kind of a wash on saving money because we do have a small markup on our parts. But if a customer brings in their own parts thinking they're saving money, a lot of times what will happen is they'll bring us the wrong one, or someone misadvertises it at a swap meet, and then all the money they would have saved, they end up unfortunately having to spend, because we have to tell them, I have to call them as like, the guy at the swap meet that said this is for a 67 Mustang, it's for a 69, and it's not going to work. So,
and if it's in a box and it's come from a shop, then That is a more preferred, isn't it?
I would much rather that than the alternative.
So now you said that interior is upstairs.
Yes, I do.
Rendering, starting it from the rendering and the design process, and then metalwork, bodywork, and even interior. And of course, we saw the dyno in-house as well.
So over here we have our upholstery department. So we have we have our upholstery manager who does all our upholstery work, and again we do it all in house. And it starts as, again, the theme continues with as much or as little as you'd like. You know, we'll do custom, we'll do factory, we'll do custom headliners, we'll do custom vinyl tops, you know, custom seats, whatever you'd like. You know, like here's an example of custom seats. So the customer wants it to look factory in his 71 CUDA, the covers wise, but he said they're not very comfortable. They don't hold you in the seat very well. So our upholstery tech added custom bolstering around it and had the customer come and sit in the seat to make sure he likes it, so we don't add it anywhere else. And we built this little table as well to hold the seat for the customer to sit down in. But again, it starts, you know, we just go based on what you would like.
Alongside paint, interior is another big expense when it comes to restoration projects,
Yes.
because often most shops historically have always outsourced it. So then you've got the interior guy who's just got a business and that's all he relies on.
Mm-hmm.
But when you've got the space and the expertise,
Right.
this really does help, doesn't it?
It does. It helps a ton. And, you know, like something that you mentioned as well is that it keeping things in house, it helps too with, I can just walk up here and ask him instead of trying to send an email and waiting 2 days or calling him and waiting for a call back. I can just walk up and ask him, you know, hey, where did you find out with this? Or what do you want me to ask the customer? You know, what did you run into with the interior as well? And, you know, when we do restorations, our intent is when the car is restored, you never have to restore it again. It'll outlive what it ever would have from the factory. So we go so far as, you know, here we blast and powder coat the seat frames, which were never done from the factory because they're usually rusted out and springs are broken, stuff like that. So we'll send them to the metal shop if they're needed, and they'll weld in new springs if needed or anything like that, and they'll fix it. And then we'll blast and powder coat the frames too. So even underneath, you never have to worry about it.
I think one of the things that I enjoy most about seeing big facilities like this, where so much, almost everything is done in-house, you are not liaising or dealing with different businesses, different people. You're not going to the interior guy and he's wondering, well, who did this and who built that? Or you're not taking your rendering and taking it to a different shop where then now they have to communicate on exactly what they mean. Everything is here. The
Yes.
people are all working together to make your dream come true.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you know, I always try to say, you know, like we build car, you know, we're in the business of making happy customers that like their cars much more so than we are in, you know, the business of anything else, in my opinion. So,
You know, upholstery places is usually the most messiest, believe it or not. Believe it or not, it may not be dusty, but it is because there's usually thread everywhere.
yeah, there's usually thread hanging all over the place, everything like that. So we have sewing machines back here. We have multiple ones. You know, of course, you can see different heights and everything. And then we have the theme continues with more carts and parts as well, with, you know, center consoles or material is up here, all labeled, everything like that. And then when we're leaving, I can point out we have a custom built cart that we have that hangs all of our headliners, because sometimes we've gotten headliners in that have sat in a box for 10 years of a customer that had life get in the way and it waited, and then they're all wrinkled and we end up having to get a new one or trying to steam the old one out as much as we can. So we have built a rack that'll hold our headliners to keep them from wrinkling if they have to sit for a while.
The bigger the place, the more organized it needs to be. And that's clearly visible right here, everybody. Because one day of not putting something back where it belongs can really mess things up, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, because if you have one day and you have that once every week or month, and we have so many projects, it can get hairy pretty quickly. So we just don't allow ourselves
I won't be
to do
applying
that.
for a job here anytime soon, just so you know.
Not organized enough.
I still have to perfect my organization
Believe
skills.
me, I understand. So over here is a section of where we do a lot of design. So we do our best. You know, we work on old cars, but we try and stay up to date as much as we can with our technology. So we have a 3D scanner, do 3D scanning capabilities, which I touched on at the Buick Wildcat. We have multiple 3D printers as well. We use them typically for brackets, or you know, we've used them a couple times in the metal shop to try and help make molds, or if they have to make a custom patch panel, you know, we'll work with them if they need us to help them print anything that they need, or little tabs, stuff like that. We'll 3D print here as well. We have a filament and a resin printer downstairs as well.
Wow. That's all I can say. It's not just in-house, it's really in-house with 3D printing, 3D scanning.
Yeah.
You name it, they've got it. There is a lot. Let's go to the next building. Okay, everybody, so we've just walked inside assembly room 2. Yes, there is 2. We just had a look at the first one, and of course, we saw the interior gets done in-house. And something else that I noticed, or Dante told me earlier on, is about convertible roofs.
Yes. So we do our own convertible tops in-house as well. Typically, you know, it's getting harder and harder to find. We used to work with a local company, but actually that gentleman is now looking at retirement. So recently, within the last 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 or so, we started doing our own convertible tops in-house. We don't custom make them. You know, we don't have the heat pressing equipment, but we do all the installs ourselves in-house. And we've got some examples. We have a 69 Roadrunner that's getting ready for a convertible top, and then the 66 Satellite, we installed the top on that car as well.
Tell me a little bit more about the Satellite.
It is the customer's second car. He's owned it since it was 1 year old, and he was really funny in the sense of when it got here, there was a bunch of peculiar things about it. There was a 12-volt outlet screwed onto the firewall. I was like with a house plug.
For what?
That was my question. I'm like, why is that on the wall? And he said, well, when I broke down driving from Colorado to back home to see his family on the side of the road, he would plug his troubleshooting light in at 2 a.m. And so he could see what was going on with his light on the side of the highway.
It's quite ingenious, isn't it?
Yes, he's an electrical engineer, so
Okay,
so
that
I trusted
explains it.
I'll take him for it. There was holes in the bumper, and I asked, well, why are there holes in the bumper? He said, oh, I drilled holes and I put my trailer hitch there when I towed a U-Haul when I moved across the country. It was the only car I owned. So
I love car guys. I absolutely love the car community because you guys are just so creative.
Yes,
you come up with ways that just we wouldn't think of it at all.
Right. I think probably my favorite story that he told is when he bought the car, it came with a 50 or 60,000 mile warranty, whatever it was. And our old cars, the speedometer cable, the odometers ran off of the speedometer as well. And so he actually unplugged his speedometer and drove it until he hit, so it was 3 years and 50,000 miles. And he's like, it's weird how 3 years and 50,000 miles hit on exactly the same day when he plugged his cable back in to get, so if it broke, it said 48,000 miles and they had to warranty it for him in the 1970s.
So smart.
Yeah, so creative.
Love it.
Yeah.
But this beautiful Satellite, now we can see the white vinyl top.
Yeah, the convertible top.
The convertible top. And this has been done in-house.
Yes, it has been done in-house, yes. Our upholstery technician installed it just up in the other building, closer to upholstery is all.
And did it have a top originally?
When it came in, yes, it did. But this one was tricky because typically we'll take the old tops and we can use that as a frame of reference of where to set the new top. But the old top on this car was so worn out that we had no frame of reference. So he was pretty much starting from zero trying to get this top adjusted to where it is now. Wow. So it was quite a lot. I mean, all the holes were worn out, so the old top was all over the place. So he didn't get any assistance, unfortunately, from the old top on this one. So this one was...
And had he had experience and done working on tops? Or?
Yes, he had done convertible tops with us, but he'd been doing them for 4 or 5 years with us
4
as well.
4 or 5 years.
Yes.
I mean, that's just such a niche on its own. Usually convertible tops would go somewhere else.
Right, somewhere. And so, yeah, our upholstery technician is really skilled because he does, the interiors and tops as well. So we're fortunate to have him. So this car is probably what I would say is the 80% of the projects that we do, which is back to factory with minor upgrades. So this one, it doesn't make any more horsepower from the factory. It doesn't have overdrive. It doesn't have ginormous brakes or anything like that. It has upgraded brakes, but nothing out of this world. And it's just a nice driver for the customer. Again, it's the original DD1 color, because that's the color that the customer remembers seeing the car in when he first bought it, but when he towed his trailer across the country with it. When it got to us, the customer swore up and down it had 250,000 miles on it. So I'd take his word for it. He seems to know quite a lot about the car. It is, again, just back to original color. So it's a blue exterior, blue interior, and then it's a big block with air conditioning and an upgraded cooling system as well, and fuel injection. Our upholstery technician did an excellent job of the convertible top. We're very happy with how it came out. So like most GM cars have rounded corners, which makes the top adjustment a lot easier. But on this car, and this year only, so a 66 and a 67, though may look the same, have completely different convertible tops, and the bows, which is what the convertible top sits on, are at different heights based on the year. So we had to find the original heights and everything, go off of that to get it all to match. And it's a lot of fitment and adjustment to get it so it seals correctly in here against the glass here, as well as the glass on the other side, obviously, and the front windows. We actually also leak test or water test. We take a garden hose and lightly hose down the convertible top to make sure that no water, gets into the cab if, God forbid, he gets caught in the rain somewhere.
And then that's the major factor so many people stay away from convertibles.
Yes. Yes, I love our old muscle cars, but they're not known for keeping water out originally from the factory. They were kind of, thrown together a little bit, and so water was known for getting in. So we do our best to try and prevent that and keep it up to date.
Beautiful. Wow, from Cooters to Chargers to Mustangs to absolute trucks. I mean,
yes, so we have quite a variety, and all the cars in here are full restorations minus the Cutlass right behind us. That one's a partial restoration because we didn't chemically strip it or anything. But when the cars get painted and they're ready for assembly, this is where they come down to. So they start as just a shell and they end as, this Cutlass or the Cuda behind us, anything like that. We paint the cars separate. We panel paint them so they're all completely disassembled when they get painted. That way we get a lot better paint coverage than the factory did. And so when they get down here, fenders go on, hoods go on, doors go on, door glass goes back indoors, regulators get set and adjusted, everything like that. Engines get put in. Again, you start from zero back to a running car by the time they're out of the assembly shop. All the test driving gets done by our technicians here, as well as myself at the end. And then the customer actually will come and test drive their car on a full restoration to approve it, or say they're like, I wish, can you get the transmission to shift a little differently, anything like that. We just talk them through and see, so they'll come and approve their car, since, we want them to be happy with their car. And especially a lot of our cars go far, long distances across multiple states. So, we don't want any calls about what's this noise from 3 states away. So that's why, we conquer them early.
like what I was saying, the variety here. Talk to me, Dante.
Not our normal project, as you could probably guess. It's a 1946 REO truck. It originally was, I believe, like a 2-ton truck. It had 2 huge leaf packs in the back, and we took one of them out, and it still rides like a lumber wagon. And the customer's actually having a flatbed built for it when he gets the truck back in his possession. It's Resto-modded in the sense of it's got a custom red color that we developed actually in-house, and all of the wiring is much more modern than it would have been, and it's converted to 12 volts. So the starter, what was a generator, now an alternator, all that, headlights are getting converted to 12 volt, so he can just go buy a battery from Walmart to be able to run his truck.
And what did you say about the block?
It is the original engine. It's a flathead 6-cylinder, and I believe it makes somewhere in the 30 to 50 horsepower range. The rear axle gears are ridiculously high. It has a top speed of, I think, around 35 miles an hour-ish. We haven't had a chance to drive it. So
Yet?
Not yet, but it came to us, and we had to do quite a lot of patchwork on it. Again, luckily, as you saw on the Willys wagon, we have a talented fabrication team, so they were able to make patches and metalwork and hand shape pieces for the big fenders that swoop, like 40s trucks are known for as well. It's got a different aftermarket fuel tank for it, and then again, these are only 1 leaf pack out of the 2 just like that I don't know if, I've jumped on it and I cannot get that thing to compress. So I hope the seats are comfortable. Our upholstery technician actually custom made the seat for it as well. It's a bench seat, and he custom made the cover for it. It's going to be going into it. And
what's the plans for this? What does he plan to do with it?
I believe it's going to be mostly like a parade truck, to be honest with you, just kind of driving it through parades. He actually owns a construction company, so I don't know if he'll use it, that way for parades or something like that. This one is impossible to find parts for, so there's been some spacers and leaf spring components that we worked with a local machine shop actually that made us, some different components to make everything all work correctly together. The frame's been powder coated. Again, it's, not our typical, so this one was our parts department was certainly really not excited when this one came in because they have a lot of searching to do.
Because it's brand new, you haven't done it before. But I mean, the customer, he decides to come to muscle car restoration.
Yes, he does, with a 80-year-old pickup truck. So why not?
The reputation speaks for itself.
I hope so. Yes.
Absolutely. Before we continue looking at some of the more finished cars, what have you got here? And I love that I've come on a day when the weekend, so there's no workers and I can just wander around freely.
Yeah, you get free reign.
I'm not telling people to turn down the music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get free reign. So over here, again, to keep with the organization system, we have a big shelving system, which is where we keep all of our hardware. So hardware, if it's just, like a regular zinc-plated bolt, we have them all here, and sometimes we actually, if it's a museum car where the hardware has to be exactly correct, we actually will chemically strip the hardware and zinc plate it as well. But in here, we can see we have different drawers of AN fittings, and all these blue cabinets on the right, they're all labeled with what is supposed to be in the drawers. And then as you open the drawer, they have different sections. They're all sectioned off with what exactly goes in that. And we have this system as well for our whole wiring department with connectors and wire, everything like that.
Wow, if there's anything that gets messy, it's definitely wires. But check this out, everyone. Exhaust clamps, the U-type one. Look at it. I'm sorry, people this is your department, and here comes the crazy YouTuber just opening and shutting things and touching everything. But this is quite brilliant. Whose idea was this? How did this manifest?
I believe it was most likely John's idea when it started with the organization of this. And when we started as the same theme with the rest of the shop, it started with 2 cabinets, and then we're like, oh, now we need 3, so we got 3, and it just kept going, everything like that. And and as we got expanded and started doing AN fittings, and we have our own hydraulic crimpers, we can make air conditioning lines, stuff like that. Again, the need for more just kept growing, and until here we are with quite a few cabinets, and we actually overflowed into our electrical cabinet, which is just over there behind these as well.
Take note, people at home, it's not just about having the shelves, but these compartments on the inside, I think, play a bigger factor than just having a number of shelves lined up. By compartmentalizing each individual part.
And we try and we shoot for efficiency the best we can, because if a technician has to spend 20 minutes looking for a bolt, for one special bolt somewhere, then unfortunately, at time and materials, 20 minutes for looking for 10,000 pieces can add up quickly. So we try and eliminate the most amount that we can.
I can relate to that. Spent, 30 minutes trying to find a socket wrench. So
yeah, and then again over here you see more. Some call it OCD organization skills with all of our wiring terminals as well, and we have crimpers and soldering tools, everything like that is our wiring station over here.
Do check out my video, which will be hitting the channel soon, where I have a little sit down with John Barlow, the man behind everything here at Muscle Car Restorations, to find out a little bit more exactly on kind of a person he is and exactly how particular he is. Because this is a very tight, really, really run well
so
business, honestly.
And then to finish up the wiring, if is we bought this rack, but we buy wires by the spool. So we sometimes will custom wire cars like the truck. No one's going to make a wiring harness for that, so we end up making the harness ourselves. And this is the wiring that we use to match up with American Auto Wire, is who we typically start with. And again, it depends. Resto-mods get aftermarket kits with American Auto Wire, and factory ones get the old school glass fuses if that's what the customer would like.
Absolutely. If you are looking for wiring kits or harnesses, American Auto Wire, I cannot say good enough things about them.
Yeah, we're very happy with their kits and how they come out. So again, you go from very, very thin wire all the way down to battery cable. If in hot rods there's no room in the engine bay anymore because we put a big block on a Mustang and the battery's going in the trunk, we can make battery cables that run up the length of the car.
Whatever you want, whatever your dream car is, it doesn't have to be what you see always in the magazines. It can be some multicolored spot. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever it is, I'm pretty sure these guys are going to.
Yeah, we'll paint whatever color you'd like. That's fine with me.
Or however different many colors or different wiring. I mean, to have everything in-house like that, I just think it's quite super, actually.
Yeah, so.
That color drew me as soon as I walked in, so I do want to ask you about it before we continue on, Dante.
Sure. So this is a B5 Blue 69 Roadrunner. This one is quite a few year project in the making, but this one is very cool in my opinion with the theme. Is that he wanted nods to the original Roadrunner, but quite heavily modified. So small things such as it's a big block that's disguised to look like an original 383 car, and it is actually a 512 cubic inch monster in front of a 5-speed Tremec TKO 600 transmission, actually, instead of the new TKX. The side marker lights originally from the factory are actually just markers. They're just reflectors. They're not markers. So he actually had us custom design and make these so that these are blinkers as well instead of just reflectors from the factory. So he's had some minor additions and touches.
But very well thought out.
Yes, definitely. This as well, we've gone through and you see here, the trunk is all fully repainted, but when you get into the cab, we actually used a different product on the inside and the underside to try and help protect it from any rock chips, everything like that, on the underside of the car.
What did you use on the underside?
So this is called Raptor Liner, and we actually buy it. They sell a tintable version, so it comes as gray, and you can mix some of the body color in with it to tint it to whatever color you'd like. You can get it in black, or you can get the tintable version that you can mix it to be whatever you'd like.
They already come with a few different range of colors.
Right.
But in order to match it to your color, you can actually get a tinted version.
You can get a tintable version, yes. So, because traditionally the Mopars of this era were painted body color on the underside, or, they were hosed down a little bit. They weren't fully covered body color on the underside. And the customer wanted the modern protection, but the vintage look. So the idea was that if you see it at a car show just walking by, you wouldn't know that it's all undercoated underneath to help protect it.
I do like the Raptor liners, honestly. It's great.
Yeah, we're very happy with it. They don't brown and discolor over time. They're washable, everything like that. We're very happy with how it came out.
Beautiful work done in here, beautiful fabrication.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I've had quite the tour.
Yeah, I hope so. I appreciate the time. Thanks for coming all the way up to northwestern Wisconsin to see us. At least you didn't come in the winter when it's 25 below outside.
Absolutely. So. I mean, I came from 90 degrees, 94 degrees, and it's like 70, so it's been lovely.
Yeah, it's a nice change. Yeah, I bet.
Muscle Car Restorations right here in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Dante, the place is just grand. From the beginning that we walked in, from rendering to the different body shops, the paint, everything is done in-house. I mean, we looked at the dyno. We did dyno in here. Mm-hmm. Interior, we got 3D printing, and then of course the full assembly rooms as well. It's grand, And definitely one of my favorite things would have to be that something to this level, the organization and the transparency between the customers and the workers
Right.
on what is getting done. Weekly update is not easy.
Right, right. It takes quite a lot of admin behind that, and we have, we're really fortunate with our team and Jeremy, who's able to go through and help us keep the customers as up to date as possible. As over the years, what we try to do is would take feedback that we've gotten. If cars come from other places, we try and take their feedback. Like, okay, they're like, man, the last place had my car sitting outside, so we don't ever have cars sitting outside. So that's, again, we try and take feedback. Or, the other thing we hear is it's unorganized and I feel like I was writing checks and not knowing what was done with my car.
Yeah.
So that's where the updates and all of that stuff came from as well. Is
Absolutely.
many years of being in business.
Absolutely. And that's why it has been so successful and it's continued to grow over 40 years, so many employees. But you are always looking, and as I always find out, you're always looking for more workers, but there's something different that happens here when it comes to training and employment. Tell us a little bit about that, Dante.
So we actually work with interns, and we have an intern house as well where we can house the interns, which is a big thing. I talked a little bit earlier about feedback. Is one feedback thing we get a lot is interns have a hard time trying to find housing if they'd like to go work at a shop to hone their skills in. We actually remedied that by offering free intern housing to the workers, and it's just up the street so they can walk to work. I mean,
they can actually walk to work.
It's a 3-minute walk up the street to work every day, so they don't need to use gas coming to work, anything like that.
And this is a really nice place. Check out the clip, everybody. I mean, you've got bed, kitchen, everything is what you would need.
Exactly, yeah.
To
Pool
learn the
table,
skills.
everything like that.
And a pool table.
Yeah, you can stay entertained while in between working on cars. So, yeah, we know that it seems like the old cars are kind of a dying art. It feels like some days. So we're always trying to do what we can to keep the industry alive and moving as well. And it starts with the younger people, and trying to get them in and learning the older stuff.
Absolutely, but it also shows exactly how dedicated you guys are in hiring the right people.
Right.
Even if it means if you find the talent in another state, you've got a house there on site.
Right.
To make it convenient for them.
Yes.
Just
exactly.
so you've got the right talent.
Right,
and you're not
exactly.
resorted just by location. Because we are here in Wisconsin and it's a little bit bare.
Right, yeah.
Some of the
road. Yeah, not a whole lot around us, luckily.
Yes.
So.
But you've already factored that in. So
right, yeah.
I absolutely love that because I know so many companies do struggle with hiring the right talent. But if you're out there and you are in a different stage and looking to get your start, this is definitely one of those places. I mean, I would love to. I know before I mentioned, I wouldn't be hired here because of my organizational skills, but I would love to have had a first start right here because there are so many things that you would learn that's going to stick with you and form those habits.
Right.
Working.
Right. Exactly. At least we're hoping to give people, great bases to start with. And then again, obviously, eventually hoping that they'll stick with us. But again, we're trying to get the foundation for them. And, once you work in something like this, you can try and transfer the organization skills or other skills, metal, paint, body, fabrication, whatever you'd like skills to yourself as well.
So you can actually grow with the company.
Right, exactly.
Love that. Everybody, the details are in the description as well as on the screen. I have had a fabulous morning.
Yeah, thank you. Me as well. I don't usually get to talk this much, so I was happy.
And thank you to all the workers who were not here today, so I was able to just walk around. The place is absolutely brilliant. Keep an eye on the channel as I want to find out about the owner behind the place. That'll be coming up soon. But Dante, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much for making the trip out.
Absolutely.